Hugh Hewitt is an MSNBC political analyst, host of the Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network, and supports President-elect Trump and supported his campaign. So, Hugh, let me get your reaction to this list of folks with Mike Pence taking over this transition team. Do you think that's a logical pick, or is that of concern that Chris Christie was stepped aside to let the vice president-elect take over?
Well, I see that Governor Christie's the vice chair, but making your vice president-elect, Governor Pence, your transition chair is a great move. I think Mike Pence is going to be a key bridge between the Article I Republicans in Congress and the Article II Republicans led by President-elect Trump. And I went back and looked at my last interview with Mike Pence from October the 25th. He laid out three priorities: rebuilding the military, especially the Navy, getting tax policy right, and he was very careful to put originalists, constructionists onto the courts. And so there are about 25 jobs, Thomas, that matter, and they're delegated down below that. Donald Trump has put together more management teams in a hurry than probably the last 10 presidents combined over the course of their business careers. So he knows how to do this. You make 25 good selections. The big five are State, Justice, DHS, Department of Homeland Security, Treasury, and the Department of Defense. And then you let them staff down, and you staff out your White House with the chief of staff, with a counsel to the president, someone in the mold of Fred Fielding, served that for George W. Bush, for Ronald Reagan. And you let them go out and find great people. So I'm actually very encouraged, and I'll give you one more example. Nick Ayers is a name that not many people know about. He's 37 years old. He's a wonder kid. When he was the executive director
Nick is going to be working
as
one of the senior advisors for Vice President-elect Pence.
And he's 37. He knows all the young conservatives in town. He knows all of the talent. And it doesn't matter what color they are, what gender they are. They need talent, and Donald Trump believes in talent. So I'm very cheered by this announcement today.
Well, the talent that we're seeing, though, a part of the executive committee includes all of Donald Trump's adult children as well as his son-in-law. What happened to that statement about, you know, the kids are going to take care of the business, they'll be in a blind trust? Isn't this a real commingling?
Oh, not yet. Not yet. You don't have to do the blind trust until after you assume. I served in the White House counsel's office, Thomas.
What's the point of having the children that have no political knowledge, an advisory role, obviously, through this campaign, but now as an executive team member to transition President-elect Trump to the White House?
I think it's a great idea. They know their father. They know his priorities. They know the campaign that's been conducted. They know the people who are on board, the people who are off board, and the people who are in between. And then, when they do establish the trust, they have to exit from the governing if they all stay in the management side. But in this transition, there's absolutely no question. I served in the White House counsel's office during the transition period. There's no ethical problem whatsoever with outside advisors helping you put together your team. You just can't have any power if you're going to run Trump Enterprises after President Trump becomes President Trump in January.
All right, so again, I think for folks that are just trying to pick apart that, I mean, there's just the three adult kids are supposed to run the Trump organization. They will be running the Trump organization as we know it. While this announcement has come out, we haven't gotten any information about a separation of President-elect Trump truly from his business organization, or that anyone else has taken over other than his adult children who are also on this transition team. So you can understand why that's kind of a red flag for folks, of concern to understand why not pick people that understand what D.C. government might be about, because there isn't a lot of time here, Hugh.
Well, I think I should push back a little bit at the idea that people should be concerned about that, Thomas, because the law is very clear, and the Office of Government Ethics is very clear, and the clearance process is very clear. The transition is a time for all talents to come together and to help the president-elect put together the best team. After you are sworn in, once you take the oath of office, the obligations of the ethics laws do descend upon everyone who's involved. There cannot be any self-dealing. And so from this 75 days, everyone can be in on the planning. Then after the 75 days, those who take over governmental authority must exit from any private interests that they have that could be influenced by their decision-making. So I don't think it's a story. What I think we ought to point to is that I've only dealt with Ivanka. She's been a guest on my show. I've had a few emails with her. She's very impressive. She's very smart. You want her input in selection of people who have been useful to the success of Trump Enterprises and her understanding of how the campaign unfolded. You want Donald Jr., you want Eric, but if they're going to stay with Trump Enterprises after January 21, they have to exit the government except for ceremonial and having fun with their father and having a good time at the White House and helping the country kind of breathe out. So there's not a problem yet. There really isn't. You wouldn't find one Democrat, for example, Judge Mikva, who was counsel to the president before, he wouldn't see any problem with this. There isn't one serious legal scholar or ethical scholar that would say there's a problem with having a big transition team. It all kicks in on January 21st, and thereafter, I do have a caution, blind loyalty is very dangerous. Loyalty is very important. Blind loyalty leads to scandals. The Reagan years had a lot of them. The Nixon years, of course, had them. So did the Clinton years, so did the Carter years, so did the Obama years. You want loyalty, you don't want blind loyalty.
Yeah, I think, a lot of people will be looking at this to evaluate you are the company you keep, and as the expectation of Donald Trump, being self-propelled to get him to this position, there is an expectation as he now works for all Americans after January the 20th that there is an accountability expectation of the behavior that he will exhibit as the President of the United States. Hugh, thank you so much. Appreciate it.